Okay, Spencer, I don't know if you've heard this hypothetical before, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Would you take the gift of immortality and $1 million? You get it right away. You don't have to wait for it. You get it right away. $1 million and you're immortal under one condition, that there is a snail somewhere out there on the planet that you don't know where it is. And if it touches you, you instantly die.
No, I mean, $1 million is not enough. It's got to be a billion. I would do that for a billion. $1 million is gone in like a few years, right? Like,
do you want to form an alliance with me?
Absolutely, I do.
that was good. I think that was good. All right. You want me to open it? You want to open it? What do you want to do?
Yeah, you open it. You're better at opening it than I am.
Okay. I don't know if that's true, but I will open it. Welcome into another episode of The Alliance. I'm Spencer Davis. That is Derek Peterson. I'm with Saturday Road. Forgot my website for a minute.
Forget your website? It's been a long weekend.
It's been a busy weekend. Derek is with Saturday Out West. He covers the Pac-12. We're going to talk mostly about the ACC today, which frankly has been the topic for the last few weeks, but that's what happens when Duke and North Carolina both make the Final Four and just play an all-time classic of a basketball game, which is what happened on Saturday night. Derek, I mean, there's a million different ways we could go with this, but I think what we want to start with is just the continued annihilation that Caleb Love continues to bring on his opponents in the second half. I mean, we saw it a couple weeks ago against UCLA and 22 points again last night, and just a dagger over a ball screen from Leaky Black to put North Carolina up by 4 in the last 30 seconds last night. I mean, what has gotten into this guy?
Well, before we go there, first I want to ask you, you had so much stuff on your website this week? And
yeah.
The billing for this game was just insane. It was all like, I was going through your website and it's North Carolina, a little bit of Duke, a little bit of ACC, North Carolina, Duke, North Carolina. Like, the billing was out of this world. This game, like, nobody cared about Kansas Villanova. I didn't even watch Kansas Villanova. Nobody cared.
No.
Did it live up to expectations for you?
Of course. I mean, both the regular season games in the series this year were laughers. I mean, the game in Durham was compelling just because it was Coach K's last home game, and it was so shocking at, how that ended up playing out. But neither of those games were 1 or 2 possession games. I mean, Duke won in Chapel Hill by 20, and it was not remotely that close. I mean, that game was over in the first 5 minutes. And then North Carolina just slowly and methodically pulled away in Durham earlier this month. Last night we got a classic, or Saturday night, if you're watching this on Monday morning, we got a classic, Derek. I mean, it's hard to remember, I mean, last year we also had a classic with Gonzaga and UCLA right in the Final Four, but you don't get these every year. I mean, you don't, and you certainly don't get them in rivalry games, right? Like, I know Louisville and Kentucky played on this stage about a decade ago. It's really rare. And yeah, I mean, for the game to come down to, a made 3 and a couple missed free throws. I mean, it was it's as good as you can hope for, I think.
Yeah. And I think that kind of leads into sort of just illustrating how absurd Caleb Love's play was. Like you said, you don't get these kinds of games typically. Like, these are rare, these kinds of games. Particularly so when the stakes were as high as they were. Like one team is going to wilt more often than not, is going to wilt under the pressure, and you're going to get a game that kind of slips toward one side over the last 8 or so minutes or whatever of the game. Like, this game was just not that. Like Duke has just risen to the moment each game in this tournament. And then Caleb Love was like, nope, you're not going to get your moment. You're not going to get your moment. Like, goodbye.
Armando Bacot and Caleb Love took the moment. I mean, Armando Bacot had 21 rebounds, and yes, Duke centers were in foul trouble, right?
Hey,
like Mark
I don't
Williams.
know. No. Listen, I don't want to talk about rebounds. Nobody cares about Tim Duncan. Okay. We are here to talk about shooting. This is why Steph Curry is everybody's favorite. We're here to talk about shooting. Let's talk about Caleb Love. Insane. He's absurd. There are no words to describe this man. He has absolutely no conscience whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, the shot making from everybody in the second half of that game was insane, right? Like, even Wendell Moore hit one. Powell had a couple threes in the second half. Brady Manick had 3 really clutch threes in the second half of that game. Just it seemed like at about I think it was like the 12 or maybe the 14-minute mark of the second half. From then on, it was just made tough shot after made tough shot for both teams. And then, Mark Williams missed a couple free throws, and then Duke missed a shot. I don't even remember who missed the shot, but North Carolina gets the rebound. They bleed 30 seconds off the clock, and Caleb Love just ices the game. I mean, it was stone cold, just ice in his veins, crushed it. And to me, it's the best shot in the history of North Carolina basketball. I don't know if you want to go there yet, but that's there's a couple other big contenders for that. One of them being by a guy named Michael Jordan. But to me, like if you line up all the stakes, it's Love's 3-pointer on Saturday night in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, he's done this to 2 teams now in the NCAA tournament. And he's done this to 2 like really, really big teams. And like St. Peter's, they just destroyed St. Peter's. So he didn't really maybe he does it. Probably he does it against St. Peter's if presented the opportunity to do it. But like in the moment, he's done it to 2 teams now. He did it to UCLA in the Sweet 16, and now he's done it to Duke. And it's just like he comes off that. I think was it Keels that missed the shot for Duke? It might've been maybe, it doesn't matter.
Maybe.
He comes off the ball screen. He's in the middle of the floor. And I'm just like, he's going to pull up and he's going to make it. Cause it's just what's going to happen right now.
Yeah.
And he did. And like
buried it.
It's absurd. It's absurd. You had the story, and I'm looking at it right now. Is Caleb Love's 3-pointer the biggest shot in North Carolina basketball history? This is on your website. Go read it.
Yes. I wrote it this morning. Sunday morning.
There is a line in here. Well, a graph in here that says Caleb Love's game-sealing 3-pointer didn't just send North Carolina to the national championship game. It didn't just give North Carolina the first NCAA tournament win over Duke in program history. It didn't just end Mike Krzyzewski's career. It did all of those things, which is like a perfect summation of what was all in that shot. And without like talking to him or knowing what's going on in his head, I probably assume in his head, he was just like, I don't care. I'm going to hit it. I don't care. You're going home.
I mean, he was so nonchalant, right? The way he just curls around that ball screen, shot clock running down. It was so smooth. I mean, it was an NBA level play from a guy that is probably not going to get drafted this year. Like he, in terms of his efficiency, did not have a very good regular season. His true shooting percentage was under 50% coming into the NCAA tournament. And I haven't checked to see if that is now above 50% after the last couple of games. But he's a former 5-star kid. Like he's probably going to test the waters and maybe he'll get a look. But for a guy that so far has had a, relatively speaking, disappointing college career from where he was coming out of high school, it's just an incredible story that he has been able to step up. And you know what? It doesn't matter what he does in the rest of his basketball career. He's going to eat and drink free for the rest of his life in Chapel Hill, and that's a pretty good baseline to start from.
I just on principle can't agree with you that it's the greatest shot in North Carolina history.
So let's can we agree that there's 2 main contenders? One
it's being, this and Jordan's shot. Yeah. I mean,
I would throw in Luke May's shot as a top 3.
Okay.
The thing about Jordan's shot is that it did put North Carolina up by 1 over Georgetown. However, Georgetown had like 17 seconds left and they come back down the floor. And if you haven't seen this, look it up on YouTube. It's the worst turnover in the history of basketball. Like the point guard or whoever had the ball for Georgetown just looks away for a sec and then thinks that he's passing it to a teammate and passes it directly to a North Carolina defender who is guarding nobody, right? And that is how the game ends. And that to me is the difference, right? Like, yes, it's the game winner, but Georgetown still had a chance. Duke did not have a realistic chance last night after Caleb Love hit that shot.
What was on the clock after he hit the shot?
It was like 28. It was under the shot clock was off.
Like they had time. Like
no, you're down 4 with the shot clock off. You don't really have a shot.
I mean, you have time. Like he had just split a pair of free throws. You have time.
Yeah. Well, if you remember what happened immediately after that, I believe it was Jeremy Roach just raced down the floor and got a quick 2.
Yep.
If Duke goes for the 3 there and makes it, then you have a shot. But the way that it worked out,
I mean, I would argue that the quick 2 was the right play because they just split a pair of free throws. Like put them back on the free throw line and try to see if you can get another split. And then you've got this is not where I want to go with it. Jordan's shot was for a national championship. The shot was for a Final Four.
No.
for a spot in the
Go back to that graph you read a minute ago. This was to knock Coach K out.
No, I understand that. I understand
Duke
that.
The only time they've ever played in the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
If North Carolina, answer me this. If North Carolina loses tomorrow night on Monday night to Kansas, no, I don't think anybody cares, right? Like this is good enough for North Carolina fans. Like if you're asking for a national title on top of this, I think you're just being greedy. Like this win was as good as a national title, in my opinion.
Okay.
They're going to be able to hold this over Duke fans forever, for decades.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is all that matters, right? Like the whole point of a rivalry is so that you have a subset of people in your general regional area that you can be petty to whenever you want. Like that's the whole point. And
plus there's a thing. I feel like this is actually, let me ask you if this is going to happen. Like there's a thing in football when football teams play historically basketball schools, the football team makes the joke of like, oh, it's basketball season for you now, like stuff like that. Do you think that this basketball win is going to come up on the football field? Like, do you think that you're going to see a Duke North Carolina game and North Carolina fans are going to be trolling Duke football players with comments about how like they ended Coach Krzyzewski's career? Well, do you think that's going to happen?
Duke football doesn't have any fans, so it's tough, right?
No, I'm talking about fans trolling players on the field.
I don't know, man. Like, I guess so. I think it would be, I see what you're getting at.
I get where you're coming from, that because of all of the like tournament related elements of this, that it's the greatest shot of all time. But also Jordan's shot won them a national championship.
It did eventually win them a national title, which I think is why you can put them neck and neck, right? The Luke May shot is pretty amazing. If you go back and look at it, and that shot did eventually lead to a national title. Like North Carolina won the national title in 2017. It was a year after that North Carolina got beat on the Chris Jenkins shot. So I think it erased a few demons there. And of course the shot was actually in Elite Eight, but
the Chris Jenkins shot came after another absurd North Carolina shot, didn't it?
The Marcus Page shot, yeah, which is also in that list.
That game was incredible.
They came back to back, yeah. That was, and do you remember the other Final Four game from that season?
I do remember the other Final Four game.
I covered that game.
Oklahoma lost. Not an entertaining game at all.
I believe Oklahoma lost by 44 to Villanova.
Yeah, they got absolutely murdered. Yeah, that was not a fun game.
Shout out to Jay Wright. Villanova made that game closer than it probably should have been, considering all their issues. But listen, I think that it's a great debate. I think those are the three best shots in North Carolina history. Maybe it's recency bias that it's love. I will say that a lot of our Facebook commenters are leaning Jordan. They're agreeing with you. I just think this is so special, man. Like this is like, is so like in some ways it's bigger than just winning the national title.
I think part of the initial draw toward the Jordan shot is because of who took the shot.
Right. Exactly.
Like if it's
did win a national title.
If it's if it's any other player taking that shot.
Yeah.
And it's the same game, same situation, same stakes. Everything is the same except a different name on the back of the jersey. I think like 90% of people would say that the Caleb Love shot was better.
And by the way, James Worthy, 28 points in that game. Pretty good. Derek, we got to get out of here soon, but I want to hear, how do you think this game is going to go on Monday night? Stake a claim. No more coward behavior like we saw last week. Stake a claim. Who's going to win? How's this game going to go? I
think the prediction that I gave in our newsletter was like 86, 84 or something really close in the 80s. North Carolina wins. Like I think I said Caleb Love hits another ridiculous one. Maybe I'm just being greedy. Call me greedy. I was cowardly last week. I'm greedy this week. I won a national title for Carolina.
I'm going to tell you, I'm worried about Carolina here. I think they expended a lot of energy last night. I mean, if you saw, and the clips have been out there, but just the way that the players and coaches sort of celebrated when that game was over, which by the way, fully deserved. Go off, right? Like no issues with it at all. But I do wonder if they are a little bit emotionally spent. And I'm also a little bit worried about Armando Bacot's ankle injury being, not quite. He's obviously going to play, and they've already confirmed that he's going to play. And I don't expect to see him limping out there. But, man, he turned that ankle pretty good. And that stuff usually lingers, even if, with treatment and stuff. And it's a lot of times it's worse a couple days after the fact than it is like within the first 10 minutes of him rolling it.
Yep.
So if he's not 100%, that's going to be a problem because David McCormick is a beast. I mean, he's Mark Williams if Mark Williams was a senior, right? I mean, he's awesome. He's going to be an even bigger problem on the boards than Williams was. And Mitch Lightfoot too is another really good big who's somehow in like his 7th season of college basketball. I think Perry Ellis might play too, but
so are we in agreement that either North Carolina either wins it or North Carolina loses it? Like it sounds like that's what you're saying. North Carolina loses it.
No, I think I think you're saying North Carolina's going to win, and I'm saying North Carolina's going to lose. So I think we're in disagreement.
But okay. My point is, we both think it's Carolina's game to win or lose. Like,
I see what you're saying. I thought you were messing with me.
No.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina is going to set the tone, right? Like, if North Carolina is up for it and if they're able to emotionally and mentally get ramped back up enough for this game, then, like, you know, they have a chance to win, which is crazy after seeing this team be so bad in November and December against elite teams, and even all the way through until early March. I don't think they got a quad 1 win until late February, and even that was on the road against Virginia Tech, right? Who probably wouldn't have even made the tournament if they didn't get hot in the ACC tournament. So, yeah, I mean, North Carolina just peaking at the right time, and yeah, I think that if they're up for it, it's going to be a close game. But I would not rule out a Kansas blowout, and I have the Jayhawks winning by double digits.
Oh,
just because, like, I think there's a real downside here to what kind of performance might come out. Like,
okay,
North Carolina accomplished a lot of its goals on Saturday night.
Okay. You play to win the game. Can we end on something that's probably pretty stupid, but I just would like to, I want to get it out there. I think there's nothing cooler than North Carolina being able to just call itself Carolina. Like,
really, you like that a lot?
It's so cool. It's like a domineering thing. Like South Carolina exists, and North Carolina is just like, no, we're Carolina.
I've never thought about it that way.
Like West Virginia, like the West Virginia football team couldn't walk around being like, yeah, we're Virginia. No, you're not. You're West Virginia. Like, you know, like Oklahoma State can't walk around and be like, yeah, we're Oklahoma. No, you're Oklahoma State. Like Carolina, there are other Carolina schools. North Carolina could just walk around and be like, yeah, we're Carolina. We're Carolina. And everybody's like, okay, man.
And look,
don't sick Caleb Love on me.
They've been performing on stages like last night for 60 years, right? So I mean, they've
earned it. Yeah, I just think it's cool. I think it's cool.
Carolina blue, it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Derek. I think we want to talk football next week. I think that's the plan. It's next time that we record one of these, it's going to be basically a week after the national title game. It's going to be old news by then. I think we're going to be full out into spring football.
I would like to convince you why the Pac-12 has more college football playoff worthy teams than the ACC next year.
That sounds like a great debate. I can't wait to talk about it with you next week.